You ever get that feeling right before a storm, when the sky is still bright, but you know, deep in your bones, that thunder's about to roll in? That was me on the Thursday my life came crashing down. My wife, Claire, had spent the week humming like a Disney princess. New perfume, new clothes, and a smile that looked painted on rather than earned. I wasn't suspicious, not yet. I'd been married to her long enough to know her moods, and this one? It wasn't for me. That night, she leaned across the dinner table, swirling her wine like she'd been cast as the lead in some soap opera. "You know, Daniel," she said sweetly, "you don't have to cook tomorrow. I'll be out late." Out late? I raised an eyebrow. Another work dinner? She gave that little shrug of hers, the one she used when she thought I'd accept anything without question. Team bonding. You wouldn't like it. I smiled. The kind of smile that says, "You think I'm buying this, don't you?" Team bonding. I repeated, "I'll manage to survive without you. But hey, just curious, should I set a plate aside for your team, or are they eating elsewhere?" Her fork clinked against the plate. "Daniel, don't start. It's just work." "Of course," I said, leaning back. "Work. You've been very dedicated lately. I'm proud of you." She smiled again, too quick, and looked back at her food. Now, here's the part where most husbands either trust their wives or stew quietly until they explode. But me? I've never been a wait and see kind of man. I don't like waiting. I like knowing. So after she went upstairs to take a bath, I pulled out the small tracker I'd bought a month earlier. Don't ask why. Call it a gut feeling, and slipped it into the lining of her purse. Not out of paranoia, out of insurance. And just like that, the clock started ticking. What Claire didn't know, and what she was never going to see coming, was that by the time her little affair came into focus, I'd already be 3 steps ahead. The next evening, Claire strutted out of the house like she was auditioning for the role of wife who's totally not cheating. Tight black dress, red heels, a perfume that smelled expensive enough to bankrupt a small country. "Don't wait up," she said, kissing the air somewhere near my cheek. "Wouldn't dream of it," I replied, smiling like I hadn't just armed myself with front-row seats to her little adventure. The tracker pinged on my phone half an hour later. Not downtown, not near the office. Nope, straight to the other side of the city, to a hotel that had more neon lights than a Vegas billboard. Classy. I called her. She didn't answer. Then, a text, in a meeting. Talk later. A meeting. At a hotel with a rooftop bar. My, how the corporate world had changed. Instead of storming over like some desperate husband, I played it cool. Ordered Chinese, turned on the game, and let her dig her own grave. That's the thing about cheaters. They always think they're smarter than you. But when you know what's coming, you can sit back and enjoy the show. Around midnight, she stumbled through the door, her lipstick smudged, hair just a little too messy for networking. She tried to glide past me, but I was waiting at the kitchen counter, sipping tea like I hadn't noticed the ghost of someone else's cologne clinging to her dress. "Good meeting?" I asked casually. She blinked, deer in headlights, then smiled too wide. "Very productive. Glad to hear it. Did your boss approve your proposal?" Her eyes flicked to mine, just for a second, sharp enough to tell me she caught the edge in my voice. Then she laughed it off, tossed her purse on the counter, and disappeared upstairs. I didn't follow. Not yet. The hunt had only just begun. Because the truth? I already had tomorrow's plan ready. And Claire had no idea I wasn't just tracking her. I was about to turn her entire double life into a stage production, one where I held the spotlight and she played the fool. The morning after her productive meeting, Claire was all sunshine and small talk. She poured me coffee like nothing had happened, kissed my forehead, and hummed her way out the door. I swear, cheaters should come with a laugh track. I didn't call her out. Not yet. Instead, I texted, "Thinking of taking you somewhere special tonight. Just us. 7 p.m. dress nice." Her reply came in seconds. "Can't tonight. Busy. Busy. Again." The word tasted like cheap wine and bad lies. So I pushed, "Cancel it. You'll want to be with me." She didn't answer. That silence told me everything. By noon, my phone pinged again, the tracker showing her parked outside a boutique hotel across town. Different from last night's. What can I say? She liked variety. I called my buddy Marcus, the kind of guy who owed me a favor big enough to make him sweat if he didn't deliver. "Need a solid," I said. "What kind?" "The kind that involves a camera and a steady hand. Discreet." He whistled. "She's really doing it." Let's just say she's auditioning for a role I didn't cast her in. He chuckled. All right. Where? An hour later, Marcus was in position. I didn't ask him to spy, just to take one good photo. Proof. Something undeniable. And when he texted me the picture of Claire stepping into the hotel lobby with Mr. Tall Dark in discount perfume, I knew we were entering Act 2. That evening, Claire came home later than usual, claiming she had meetings back to back. I nodded, handed her a glass of wine, and said nothing. She didn't notice I didn't drink mine, because by then, my plan wasn't about finding out if she was cheating. I already knew. It was about making sure when I pulled the curtain back, she'd have nowhere to run. And trust me, tomorrow night, the curtain was going up. The thing about revenge is you can't rush it. It's not fast food, it's a slow roast. And I had just set the oven to preheat. By the time Claire's alarm went off the next morning, I was already up. Coffee brewed, laptop open, pretending to grade papers for the university course I taught. She shuffled into the kitchen in her silk robe, kissed me like the night before hadn't happened, and poured herself orange juice. You're up early, she said, stifling a yawn. Big day, I replied. Oh, she asked, feigning casual interest. Just some meetings. Might be late tonight. I didn't look up, just typed away. The bait was set. She'd think she had the house to herself. Her face lit up in the way only a liar's does when they think they've been handed a gift. Oh, really? That works out actually. I might have some work to catch up on myself. I nodded, as though she'd just solved my scheduling problem. Perfect. Don't wait up. By 8 p.m., she was gone. Tracker pinged. Same hotel as yesterday. Predictable. People always are. But here's where she didn't see the hook buried in the bait. I wasn't where she thought I'd be. Instead of meetings, I was parked half a block from that hotel, engine off, watching the glow of the lobby through my windshield. Marcus was nearby again, camera ready. Only this time, I wasn't after a blurry photo. I wanted a production. At exactly 8:37, Claire appeared in the lobby, arm hooked with Mr. Tall Dark in cliché. He wore the smug grin of a man who thinks he's winning a prize, not a lawsuit waiting to happen. She laughed, tossed her hair, and kissed him right there under the chandeliers. The kind of kiss she hadn't given me in months. Marcus snapped away. I just watched, sipping from a thermos of black coffee, calm as ever. By 9, they were in the elevator. My phone buzzed. Marcus sent me the photos. Crystal clear. I could see the reflection of the hotel's logo in the glass doors behind them. Perfect. Now came the fun part. I texted Claire, change of plans. Heading home early. Want me to grab dessert on the way? No response. Not for a good 10 minutes. Then, I'm still at work. Don't bother. I smiled. She'd be in no shape to answer calls. Which was fine, because I wasn't calling. I was busy scheduling a little surprise for tomorrow evening. The next day, I played the dutiful husband. Made breakfast. Kissed her cheek. Pretended to read the paper while she scrolled her phone under the table. She had no clue I'd already forwarded those photos to a very specific group of people. Family dinner was tomorrow night. Her idea, actually. She'd insisted we host her parents, her sister, and a couple of mutual friends. Good for appearances, she'd said. Little did she know, it was about to be the best show in town. That night, after she went upstairs, I sat in my office, typing invitations for my presentation. Marcus would bring the projector. I had the photos ready in a neat little folder labeled tax documents. Because nothing hides betrayal better than a boring file name. The next evening, everyone gathered around the dining table. Candles lit. Roast chicken in the center. Claire wore that red dress she saves for occasions when she wants to remind people she's the star of the room. Her laugh was a little too loud, her hand brushing mine like nothing was amiss. Halfway through the meal, I tapped my glass. If I could have everyone's attention, I said, standing. Claire tilted her head, smiling like she thought I was about to give a toast. I wanted to share something important tonight. Something personal. Her smile faltered just enough to make my pulse steady. She hated surprises unless she was the one giving them. Marcus wheeled in the projector. Her eyes widened. Daniel, what's this? She asked, her tone light but strained. You'll see. The first photo appeared on the wall. Claire, in the hotel lobby, arm around Mr. Tall Dark in discount aftershave. Silence. Then a sharp intake of breath from her mother. Her father's fork clattered onto the plate. Claire's face drained of color. Daniel, she said quickly, her voice tight. This isn't what it looks like. I raised a hand. Calm. Controlled. Please, let's let the evidence speak for itself. Next photo. Them kissing. Another. Her laughing, hand in his. A murmur rippled around the table. Her sister looked down, embarrassed. One of our friends, Mark, whispered, "Holy hell." Claire stood, eyes wild. "Turn it off. Now. Sit," I said quietly. Not a plea, a command. For the first time in years, she obeyed. I let the photos roll until there was no doubt left. Then I clicked the projector off and faced the table. "Ladies and gentlemen," I said evenly, "this is the woman I've shared a home with for 12 years. The woman I've trusted, supported, and believed in. And as you can see, my trust was misplaced." Claire shot to her feet again, her voice trembling. "You're humiliating me." "No," I said, meeting her eyes. "You did that yourself." The room was so quiet I could hear the tick of the clock in the hallway. Finally, her father cleared his throat. "Claire, is this true?" She stammered. It's not what it looks like. He's just a friend. Friends don't check into boutique hotels," I replied dryly. Her mother buried her face in her hands. Claire's voice rose, desperate now. "Daniel, you don't have to do this. We can talk. Privately." I smiled, the kind of smile that says the storm has already passed and the damage is done. "Oh, we will." But I thought everyone deserved to see the truth. "You see, Claire, you've spent months crafting lies. I figured it was only fair to show your family the reality." She stood frozen, mascara smudging under her eyes. For once, she had no comeback. I sat down, calmly carving into the chicken. "Now," I said, spearing a piece with my fork, "who'd like some dessert?" Nobody touched their plates. Claire rushed from the room, heels clicking down the hallway, the slam of the bedroom, doors shaking the house. I didn't follow. I didn't need to. The curtain had dropped. Because here's the thing, the revenge wasn't just in exposing her. It was in letting her know I'd been one step ahead the whole time. That while she thought she was in control, I'd been writing the script. And tomorrow? Tomorrow would be Act 2. The part she'd never see coming. The morning after the great reveal, the house sounded different. Quieter, heavier, like it was holding its breath. Claire didn't come down for breakfast. Not surprising. She'd stormed into the guest room after slamming every door she could find like a teenager grounded for the weekend. I took my time, made pancakes, brewed coffee, sat at the kitchen island scrolling through the news like nothing unusual had happened the night before. Because here's the thing about cheaters. They expect confrontation. They thrive on chaos. They want shouting, accusations, slammed doors, and maybe even tears, because all of that gives them something to push back against. What they don't expect is silence. Silence is a mirror. It forces them to see themselves. Around 10, she finally came down, hair tied back, makeup heavy enough to cover the wreckage of last night. She looked like a woman auditioning for the role of composed wife and failing. "Daniel," she said softly, sliding into the chair across from me. "We need to talk." I took a bite of pancake, chewed slowly, and nodded. "Talk." Her hands twisted in her lap. "About last night. About what you did." "What I did?" I raised an eyebrow. Her lips pressed thin. "You blindsided me. In front of my parents, my sister, our friends. You humiliated me." "Interesting choice of words," I said, setting down my fork. "Because I'm fairly certain I didn't check into a hotel with another man. But maybe I was hallucinating when Marcus projected those photos on the wall." She flushed, jaw tightening. It wasn't like that." "Then please," I said calmly, "enlighten me. What exactly was it like?" She hesitated. A second too long. Enough to tell me she didn't have a story ready. "He's a colleague," she blurted finally. "We're working on a big project. It was just late meetings, and in boutique hotels," I interrupted, voice even, "with candlelight and wine." Her eyes flashed. "Stop twisting everything." I leaned back, folded my arms. "Claire, I didn't twist a thing. I showed people the truth. If it looked bad, that's on you." For a moment, the facade cracked. The calm, rational tone she'd been faking gave way to something sharper. "You wanted to embarrass me. Admit it." "Correction," I said. "I wanted to stop you from embarrassing me behind my back. And judging by your performance, I'd say mission accomplished." She slammed her palm on the table. "You're destroying our marriage." That made me laugh. Not a chuckle, a real laugh, dry and sharp. "No, Claire, you destroyed it. I just turned on the lights so everyone could see the rubble." Silence again. She looked at me like she didn't recognize the man across the table. That was the point. For years, I'd been the dependable husband, the steady hand, the man she thought would put up with anything. But that version of me was gone. Finally, she tried a different tactic, the one every cheater eventually resorts to. Tears. Her voice softened. Daniel, please. I made a mistake. Her eyes glistened as she reached for my hand. I don't want to lose you. We can fix this. I didn't move. A mistake, huh? Interesting. How many nights does a mistake last? Because judging by the tracker, you've been making the same mistake for at least 3 weeks. Her lip trembled. You were tracking me? Call it due diligence. Her tears dried up fast. Anger returned. That's sick, Daniel. That's controlling. I smiled faintly. Funny. You didn't seem to mind control when you were lying about team dinners. Guess it only feels wrong when it's not you pulling the strings. She pushed back her chair, standing so quickly it screeched against the floor. I'm not going to sit here while you act like some detective. I deserve better than this. I tilted my head. Then you should have thought about that before checking into hotels with Mr. Discount Cologne. She froze, glaring at me like she could will me into silence. But I wasn't done. Here's the thing, Claire. I continued, calm as a surgeon. Last night wasn't just about exposing you. It was about showing you that I'm not the fool you thought I was. You lied to me, to your family, to your friends. And now you're standing there, trying to play the victim. But let me make one thing very clear. The audience already saw the performance. And trust me, they weren't impressed. Her eyes narrowed. You think this makes you look strong? All it makes you look like is bitter. Maybe, I said. But at least I'm not a liar. She grabbed her purse from the counter. I'm going to stay at my sister's for a few days. I need space. I nodded. Take all the space you need. But do yourself a favor and tell your sister to check her email before you show up. Her head whipped around. What did you do? I sipped my coffee. Just send her the highlight reel. Couldn't have her thinking I was the one who ruined your perfect little life. Her mouth dropped open. You wouldn't. I already did. For the first time since the affair began, she looked genuinely scared. Not angry. Not smug. Scared. Why? She whispered. Because, Claire, I said, leaning forward, you wrote the script. I'm just directing the ending. She stormed out, slamming the door behind her. The house fell silent again, but this time, it didn't feel heavy. It felt clean, like a storm had passed and left the air sharp and clear. I leaned back in my chair, folded my arms, and smiled to myself. What Claire didn't know was that this wasn't the end of my plan. Not even close. Because revenge isn't about the big reveal. It's about the aftermath. About making sure the person who thought they were clever learns, day after day, that they were playing checkers while you were playing chess. And tomorrow? Tomorrow, I'd move the queen. The thing about storms is they don't vanish when the clouds clear. The real damage shows up the next day, broken branches, flooded basements, neighbors standing in the street pretending they didn't see it coming. Claire was my storm. And the morning after she stormed out, I got the first signs of her cleanup plan. My phone buzzed at 9:14 a.m. A text. We need to talk. Please. I'm sorry. Can we meet for lunch? I stared at it for a long second, then set the phone down and sipped my coffee. I wasn't angry. Anger was too easy, too obvious. I was calculating. At 9:15, another ping. Daniel, I don't want to lose us. Please don't shut me out. Oh, the irony. After months of late meetings and team bonding, now she didn't want to be shut out. I typed back one word, busy. 3 dots popped up instantly. She was waiting, desperate. Then they vanished. She didn't reply. Perfect. By noon, I was in my office, typing up lecture notes when Marcus called. She's panicking, he said. Her sister called me. Apparently, Claire showed up last night with a sob story about you being controlling. I chuckled. Of course she did. You want me to back you up? Already handled, I said. I'd forwarded the photos to her sister, her mother, and 2 mutual friends before Claire even left the driveway. By now, she knew the damage was irreversible. That afternoon, I checked the tracker. She wasn't at her sister's. She wasn't at the office either. No, Claire had parked herself at a coffee shop downtown, probably rehearsing her next performance. Sure enough, at 5:30, the front door creaked open. She stepped in like a burglar returning to the scene of the crime. Her makeup was perfect, her hair done, her dress carefully chosen, a costume designed to scream, "See? I'm still the woman you fell in love with." I stayed on the couch, flipping channels. She hovered in the doorway like a child about to confess to breaking a vase. Daniel? She asked softly. I didn't look up. Yes. She walked over, hands clasped in front of her like she was approaching a judge. I know you're hurt. I know what I did was wrong. Wrong, I repeated, raising an eyebrow. Claire, forgetting to pay a bill is wrong. Cheating on your husband for weeks while lying to everyone you know, that's not wrong. That's calculated. Her lips trembled. I didn't mean for it to happen. I set down the remote. Claire, affairs don't just happen. You didn't trip and fall into a hotel room. You made a choice. Repeatedly. She swallowed hard. It's over. I leaned back. Oh, I don't doubt that. But not because you ended it. Because I did. For the first time, she broke eye contact. Her gaze darted to the floor, the way a kid looks away when they're caught stealing cookies. I want to fix this, she whispered. Fix? I laughed softly. Claire, you don't fix shattered glass. You sweep it up before someone gets cut. Her eyes welled up again. I still love you. I tilted my head. Do you? Or do you just love the life I gave you? The house, the stability, the version of me that let you do whatever you wanted without asking questions. She flinched. The truth always stings. Finally, she sat beside me, close enough that I could smell her perfume. Daniel, please, don't throw us away. I turned to her, calm as ever. Claire, you threw us away the moment you chose him. Her eyes widened. So what now? That was the question I'd been waiting for. The opening move in the final act. I leaned forward, elbows on my knees. Now? Now we play this out. Slowly. Thoroughly. And when it's over, you'll wish you'd never underestimated me. She blinked. What does that mean? You'll find out, I said, standing. But since you're so fond of surprises, I'll let this one be a mystery. That night, I slept in the guest room. Not out of spite, but strategy. Distance was part of the game. The less she could read me, the more she'd scramble. And oh, she scrambled. The next morning, she tried again. Made me breakfast, left a note on the counter. I'll spend the rest of my life making this right if you let me. I crumpled it and tossed it in the trash without a second glance. By Friday, the tracker told me she wasn't at work again. Instead, she'd gone to see him. Brave, considering her cover was already blown. But I expected nothing less. Cheaters cling to the wreckage even when the ship's at the bottom of the ocean. I waited until she came home that evening. She looked guilty, tired, like someone who'd been negotiating with a man who realized the affair wasn't as fun without secrecy. How was work? I asked casually. She froze, then forced a smile. Busy. Of course, I said, nodding. The silence that followed was suffocating. She wanted me to confront her, to explode, to give her something to fight against. Instead, I just went back to my laptop. Finally, she broke. Daniel, you can't keep shutting me out like this. I looked up slowly. Watch me. Her eyes filled again. What do you want from me? I smiled faintly. Patience. You'll see. And that was the cruelest part. Because Claire had no idea that while she was begging for forgiveness, I was already setting up the finale. Next week was our anniversary. She'd forgotten, of course, too busy with her extracurriculars. But I hadn't. I'd already booked the restaurant, already sent out the invitations, already planned the seating chart. Because if Claire thought the dinner with her family was bad, she had no idea what was coming when I invited him too. The week crawled by, Claire trying harder with each passing day. Breakfasts, soft apologies, casual touches, all of it staged, none of it convincing. She was like a stage actress who'd forgotten the audience had already left the theater. I stayed calm, played along. Because I wasn't just waiting for our anniversary. I was preparing it. The night came. I wore a suit she'd once said made me look like I'd stepped out of a magazine. She wore the blue dress I'd bought her for her last birthday, hoping maybe the memory of old love would soften me. You look beautiful, I told her. Her smile was small, nervous. Thank you. The restaurant was packed, our tables set near the center. But it wasn't just us. I'd invited her parents, her sister, a few close friends, and one guest she wasn't expecting. At 7:15, he walked in. Mr. Tall, dark, and cliché. She froze, her fork midair, eyes darting between me and him. Daniel, she hissed, her smile frozen in place. What have you done? Relax, I said. I thought you'd want him here. He seems important to you. The blood drained from her face. Around the table, whispers started. Her mother stiffened. Her father glared. Her colleague looked like a man who'd walked into the wrong party. He stammered something about being invited, but the damage was done. I raised my glass. To truth, I said smoothly. It has a way of showing up whether we want it to or not. Claire didn't touch her wine. After the dinner, She begged. Not in public, of course. She had too much pride for that. But at home, behind closed doors, she broke. Daniel, please, she sobbed. I'll cut him off. I'll do anything. Just don't leave me. I listened, arms folded, expression unreadable. Funny, I said finally. That's what you should have said before you checked into hotel rooms. She reached for me. I stepped back. Over the next week, the calls started. From her friends, from her sister, even from her boss. She'd spun stories about me being cold, controlling, vindictive. I didn't argue. I just forwarded the photos. Evidence speaks louder than excuses. By the time the weekend rolled around, Claire looked like a shadow of herself. Makeup couldn't hide the bags under her eyes. Her voice cracked when she spoke. You've ruined me, she whispered one night. No, I corrected softly. You did that yourself. I just made sure the credits rolled. 2 weeks later, I filed for divorce. She tried to fight it, of course. Claimed I was overreacting, claimed we could rebuild, claimed she still loved me. At the hearing, she sat across from me, her lawyer whispering in her ear like a coach before the final round. I didn't need a lawyer to whisper to me. I had something better. When the judge asked about grounds, I handed over the file, photos, tracker data, messages Marcus had helped me retrieve. Claire's lawyer paled as he flipped through the stack. Claire stared straight ahead, blinking fast, like she could stop the tears from falling. Given the evidence, the judge said, this case is straightforward. Claire turned to me, eyes shining. Daniel, please. We don't have to do this. I met her gaze calmly. We already did. Here's the part no one saw coming, not even her. 2 months after the divorce was finalized, I got a message from Mr. Tall, Dark, and Cliché. Just one line. She's your problem now. I laughed for the first time in weeks. Because I predicted this. Men like him never stick around once the thrill fades and the bills show up. But here's the real twist. I didn't just walk away with my pride intact. I walked away with the house, the savings, and full custody of the only thing that had ever mattered. Our dog. Max. Claire had fought tooth and nail for him in the settlement. But the judge, after reviewing the evidence, decided she lacked the stability to care for him. So there she was, alone, reputation in tatters, living in a one-bedroom apartment she could barely afford, scrolling through her phone at night, waiting for a text from a man who'd already moved on. And me? I was sitting on the porch with Max, sipping coffee, the evening breeze cool against my face. If you'd told me a year ago that my wife would burn our marriage to the ground, I'd have said you were crazy. But now I knew better. She thought she was playing chess. Turns out, she didn't even know the rules. And the cruelest part? The whole time she thought she was ahead, she was already in checkmate.